Howdy doody, my name is Susie and today I'd like to share with you a recipe for a tofu pineapple hoisin sauce stir fry. It is a plant-based meal that you can have any time of the week. Even meat lovers will enjoy this recipe because it's full of flavor. We're going to be serving our stir fry on a bed of cauliflower rice, which is very easy to prepare. But let me give you an overview so you can see everything that we're going to need in order to make this recipe. So for our recipe, we're going to need 1 full brick of firm tofu, 2 cups of fresh pineapple, 6 garlic, 2 green onion, a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. We're going to need 2 tablespoons of vinegar, 2 tablespoons of molasses, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of sesame seed oil, a whole pepper, a 1/4 cup of soya, 2 tablespoons of hoisin sauce, 2 tablespoons of wine, and 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and a 1/4 cup of water. And at the very end, we're going to add a pat or 2 of butter, and some chili flakes are optional. We're also going to need a whole head of cauliflower that we are going to shred in order to make some cauliflower rice to serve our tofu pineapple hoisin stir fry on. Now, don't be discouraged by thinking that there are too many ingredients. This actually goes quite quickly. You're going to spend as much time preparing or prepping the ingredients as you are stir frying, but it goes fast. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to be using extra firm tofu, which I have purchased here. And tofu is basically a condensed or compressed soya milk. This originated in China some 2,000 years ago. There's different varieties of tofu. Some are meant for desserts, some are fermented, some are organic. But for today, I'm using extra firm because I really need these little cubes to stand up to the stir frying in our meal. We're also going to need 2 cups of pineapple, and I've just chopped up some fresh pineapple, and you want the pieces to be the same size or close to the same size as the tofu, about 1/2 inch. We're going to need about 6 cloves of garlic, which I have minced, and we're going to need about 2 to 3 inches of ginger, which you want this minced as well because it can be tough to eat. And if you don't mince it, cut it large enough that you can pull it out once the recipe is completed. We also have here just 2 chopped up green onions. And we've got a whole pepper. I've decided to use an orange pepper just to vary the color, but you just want it chopped up, rough chopped around or close to the same size as the tofu. Now, in terms of our cauliflower rice that we're going to serve our stir fry on, if you're not familiar, all you're going to do is take a raw cauliflower, and you want to use a grater that has large holes, and you're just going to grate the cauliflower. And it's going to turn into this texture, which resembles rice. And we're going to stir fry this for 1 minute to 2 minutes with a little bit of garlic and butter and salt, and that's it. This will be the base. It'll replace rice in our meal. So this is going to serve 4 people or 2 very hungry people. Now that we've prepared all of our ingredients, we've got everything chopped up, we're going to move this over to the stove and we're going to start stir frying. So now we're just heating up some oil in a frying pan, and this is just olive oil. It's about 1 tablespoon or so. And what we're going to do is we're going to fry our cubes of tofu, and we want to make sure that it's browned and crisp on all sides. So I'm just going to, no, the oil is still cool, so I want to make sure that it's hot before I add the tofu. Oil sizzling. So I'm going to add my tofu to the pan. And you can hear that it's hot. And we're going to put this on medium-high and fry it for maybe about 5 minutes. So that's the timer for 5 minutes, and it's almost golden on all sides. Look, it's fancy. Ooh. It's golden brown, see? So just maybe 6 minutes, an extra minute, just to make sure that you do get that crispness, because it does make a difference in the end. Okay, I think that's good enough. We're going to take our tofu off of the oven, or off of the stove, and we're going to set it to the side. We'll add it to our dish later on. So now we are going to add about a teaspoon of sesame seed oil and another teaspoon of the olive oil. And you don't want to overdo it with the sesame seed oil because it has a very strong flavor. So we're just going to heat this up a little bit, and don't put the oven on, or don't put the stove on too high, because sesame seed oil does tend to burn. Okay, so our oil is hot, and now we're just going to stir fry our pineapple. And just turn that down to a low medium. The water might spray because the oil is hot. We're also going to add all of our we're going to add the orange peppers, and we're just going to fry this on medium until everything is a little bit softened and cooked. So you can just let that sit for maybe a minute or two. I've turned the flame up to high, and I've been cooking it, and it's actually taken 5 minutes for it to soften. At this point, we're going to add about 4 or 5 cloves of garlic. We're going to save a little for our, oh, there's the timer, 5 minutes. Our garlic and all of our ginger. And our green onion. And we're just going to stir fry this for a couple more minutes until you can really start to smell the ginger and the garlic. This is what it looks like. And now the pineapple is starting to, the sugars are starting to caramelize. So it's turning it a little bit brown, and this is just going to impart more flavor. While that's roasting, I'm going to take my 1/4 cup of water and 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and it's cold water, and you're just going to mix this. This is going to be our thickener at the end in the event that we need it. We may need it, we may not. But we'll just have this ready and set aside. Okay, so now we're going to start adding our spices. We're going to start with a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And cinnamon is very good for diabetes, help lowering the blood sugar levels. And then we're just going to add, it's getting a bit dry, so I'm just adding a little bit more of my sesame seed, a little bit more of my olive oil to keep everything fluid. And now we are going to add 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Tablespoons of Hoisin. I'm going to turn this down a little bit to low. 2 tablespoons of Hoisin. We want 2 tablespoons of wine. Oh, there's a little left over. And if you don't have wine, you can certainly use Worcestershire sauce. And we're going to need a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. At this point, it's very loose and liquidy. And once we've got that all combined, we're going to add our blackstrap molasses. And this is really going to make our sauce nice and thick, so we add it at the end. And we're going to need 2 tablespoons of blackstrap molasses. And this will make it thick and juicy. And then you just want to mix that all together. And it's really smelling very good at this point. Turn the heat on medium. And this is really turning out fantastic, if you can see. And at this point, we're going to add back all of our tofu that we previously toasted on all sides. Make sure everything is coated, all the tofu. You want to make sure that the flavor is throughout all the little pieces. And now we're going to just cook this on medium for another minute or 2 until the sauce reduces and becomes thicker. So let's time it. So that was exactly 2 minutes, and the sauce has really reduced and it's quite thick and rich. At this point, I'm going to add a little bit of chili peppers, which is really up to you. I think it adds a lot of great flavor. A little bit more. And it gives it that sweet and a little bit of spice. And that's it. Now, my sauce is quite thick, and I'll show you. I'm going to put it off to the side. So I don't need that cornstarch with water. But if you like a thicker sauce, whoops, then you would definitely add a little bit of the cornstarch and water until it reached a thickness that you liked. And voila, we have a beautiful Hoisin tofu pineapple stir fry. We're going to put this off to the side, or we're actually going to put this in the oven, whoops, and keep it warm. And now I'm going to wash out my pan because we're going to stir fry our cauliflower. So now for our cauliflower rice, and all you need is a couple of pats of butter. Just melted. And normally you would add a little bit of olive oil so your butter does not burn, but we are going to be cooking the cauliflower so quickly it won't have time to burn, and it will give it a really delicious buttery flavor. So our butter is melted and we've got it on medium-high. And then add your cauliflower all at once. Make a little spot in the middle. Add my garlic just to toast it. And just let it toast. And this is going to cook literally like 2 to 3 minutes. You don't want to overdo it because it will turn into mush, and you want to be able to keep those little individual grains of the cauliflower nice and firm so that it resembles rice. So just let it fry for a few seconds, 30 seconds, and as you turn it, you can already see that it's getting a little brown. So you're just browning it slightly. And you'll see how the color of the cauliflower, it turns from an opaque to a more of a translucent color. So instead of it being stark white, it's starting to look a little transparent. You can add a little bit of salt and black pepper if you like. But we have so many flavors going on in our stir fry that it's nice to keep the cauliflower plain. And there you go, exactly 2 minutes. So we're just going to put this in a bowl. I'm going to put that in the oven to keep warm. So for a very special and unique topping to garnish our dish and also to add to the texture, we are going to make fried vermicelli. And vermicelli is this super fine, it looks like angel hair rice noodle that you can find in the Asian aisle. And we're going to have a plate set off to the side with a little bit of paper towel to absorb some of the oil. And we've got about half an inch to an inch of oil in the bottom of a frying pan. And this is just regular vegetable oil. So we need to bring our oil up to high heat. And we're going to test it by dropping a strand in it when the oil is actually hot. So our oil is hot, and I'm just going to test it with just one strand. Wow, there you go. It curls up into this noodle immediately. So I know that this is hot. As soon as I drop these noodles, they are going to curl up instantly. And then I'm going to remove them and put them on the plate. So this happens very quickly, but it's really, really cool. Okay, here we go. We're going to drop the vermicelli in the hot oil. Woo! That is wild. There's a little tiny bit that wasn't cooked, and that's it. So our oil is super hot, and now we're going to take our strands and drop it in the oil. Whoa, that is wild. Now you got to turn it over and cook the other side. And it is instant. Look at that. That is like a bird's nest. It'll be perfect for decorating our dish. So now we're ready for the taste test, and I have my appropriate dishes to serve my food. And the rice is nice and hot. It's not rice. The cauliflower rice is nice and hot. And then we're going to serve some of this delicious tofu in pineapple. And there is a lot of juice in it. Like I said, if you wanted your sauce thicker, this is thick, the consistency of syrup, but if you wanted it thicker, you would have added the cornstarch along with the water. And now for our topper, wasn't this amazing? You just break it off and stack it on top. Oh, one more little thing. A little parsley leaf on the top of the mountain. Look at this presentation. Phenomenal, isn't it? All right, let's taste this guy. That was a piece of pepper. The tofu. Nice texture, especially when you crispen it. So it takes away that kind of raw flavor that tofu has if you haven't cooked it. Let's try our cauliflower. This is a little bit more difficult. It's very delicious, sweet buttery flavor. And then our fried vermicelli. It disintegrates in your mouth. It's such a cool feeling. If you can, you have to try this recipe. It's a showstopper, it's delicious, and it is nutritious. So if you try this recipe and you like it, I hope you share it. Until then, enjoy. These are fun to eat.